Toyota and Lexus, as they have done globally for many years, absolutely dominate the hybrid market in this region.
Hybrids is killing it, right? This seems to be the hotspot where there's good consumer demand. Glenn, firstly, can I congratulate you on your merch? I'm loving the shirt.
Thanks, Craig. You normally have the branded shirt as well.
Well, I'm trying to get a bit smarter these days, and but I do like that. I think I could do with the DubiCars one.
I thought you were going to say I'm trying to get a brand deal from Gant. But,
well, I've tried. In fact, we have had someone try and sponsor our podcast, but it was for all the wrong reasons. So anyway, we'll move on from there. Are you well anyway?
I am.
Well, look, today we're talking about hybrids.
Yes.
And I like talking about hybrids.
Well, it's something different, isn't it?
Because you know what? Hybrids is like the middle child, right? It's the middle child.
The unloved one.
Everyone talks about the first one. Mm-hmm. Everyone talks about the last one.
Yep.
But that poor child in the middle is the one that people don't talk about.
Okay.
And hybrids is what we should be talking about. Because if I look at the data on our site, and I know you've got some fascinating data, hybrids is killing it, right? This seems to be the hotspot where there's good consumer demand. There's some great product, either in supercar or family or compact.
Yep.
And I just think it'd be great if we could get dealers excited as we are about the hybrid market.
Well, it's the best of both worlds, isn't it? If you can't choose between the first child or the last child, you just go for a bit of both and you take the middle one. A bit of petrol, a bit of electric, and you've got the hybrid.
Yeah, well, exactly. So let's get into that. Let's get into the benefits of the hybrid. And I know you've got some great data from a residual point of view, and I've got some good data in terms of supply and demand. But come on then, talk to me about hybrids.
Yeah, well, let's talk high level about hybrids. I think everyone knows what a hybrid is. It's either got a petrol or in some markets they even have diesel engines supplemented by an electric engine as well. So here in the UAE though, we've got such little choice around hybrids. Toyota and Lexus, as they have done globally for many years, absolutely dominate the hybrid market in this region. And some people don't realise, but most Toyota Camry taxis and most Lexus Ubers are actually hybrids. So you've probably ridden in a hybrid without even necessarily knowing it. So when we look at new car sales, when we look at consumers, new car sales of Toyota hybrids in this market are probably in that 50 to 70% range. But if you throw in there the fleet deals with the taxis and the Ubers and the limousines, they're really 80, 90% plus of all new car sales.
Right.
And part of the reason for that is just a lack of, I think, consumer choice and a lack of consumer education. There's so few other hybrids for sale in the market. Kia might have one or two, and Hyundai might have one or two, but they're not throughout the lineup. They're not heavily pushed on the ground in the showrooms. I know anecdotally someone went in to try and buy one recently, and they didn't have stock on the ground of it, but they had plenty of the petrol cars. So. Having said that, I think also the Chinese cars are changing it again. I know there's some great BYD hybrids in the market, and I think also you were saying the Jetour T2 is on its way.
The small G2, T2, yeah.
So I think that's going to change.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely is changing, because if I look at our top 10 searches, you're right, BYD are in our top 10 searches with the BYD Leopard, and now we're seeing Jetour already come in on the T2. So yeah, the Chinese are jumping on the hybrid bandwagon.
And the other place that everyone just forgets that hybrids even exist is in performance cars.
Yeah.
A lot of the performance cars on the market are all hybrid. You look at the BMW M range, the M5, the XM, a lot of the Ferraris. A lot of these high-end cars now are hybrid because of the performance.
Yeah.
You just get so much more performance, but of course, I'm sure people aren't buying them because of the hybrid drivetrain. They're buying them for other reasons, the brand and the looks and the performance. But it's a really forgotten about segment of the market. People don't realise these cars are hybrid.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's one of the benefits, isn't it? Because, these performance cars like the Ferrari and the Lamborghini, they will master how to get hybrid technology to improve performance. And that will just trickle its way down then into the whole industry, right? So everyone will start benefiting from these performance.
Well, you're seeing it already on things like C-Classes and 3 Series. They're starting to come through as standard with hybrids.
Yeah.
And it's not even a thing. It's just, you buy a C-Class Mercedes, and how it works sort of doesn't matter. You don't have any range issues because you've got the petrol engine, you've got the extra performance, you've got the better fuel efficiency. It's just a win-win.
Yeah, no, totally. And I was looking at some data the other day on our site. So if I looked at hybrid volume on our site, hybrid volume year on year had increased by 55%, which sounds a lot, but actually on the volumes on our cars, it's a few hundred cars. It's not thousands of cars.
Yeah.
Demand has increased by 120%.
Really?
Yeah. And demand-wise year on year, it is the high out of everything.
Okay.
So EVs has actually slowed in terms of demand. EV is now 15% up year on year. Hybrids 115%. So what do you think's driving that? I have an idea. What do you think's driving that?
Well, it's obviously consumer demand because it's you've stopped the problem with the range anxiety.
Yeah. Tick.
You save money. It's better for the environment.
Tick.
Better
Tick.
for your pocket.
Tick.
And better resale value. We've got some interesting data around resale value, which I'll share. But what do you think?
Go on.
There was a really interesting study out of AutoVista in the UK about 12 to 18 months ago looking at UK residual value prices. And they segmented out over the last 5 to 10 years hybrid, BEV, battery electric vehicles, diesel and petrol. And over time, diesel and petrol had fairly similar residual values. But what was really interesting over the last 12 to 18 months, battery electric vehicles, so pure electric cars, have dropped 30% from their peak. They had the highest residual value. They've now dropped to by far the lowest residual value. And the one that broke out in the lead was hybrids. Hybrids actually now have a 15% higher residual value than a petrol or a diesel car. So I think it also makes economic sense from a residual value, a total cost of ownership point of view, to own a hybrid.
Yeah. No, look, absolutely. And I think, the consumers are getting better educated on that, aren't they? I think they realise that they don't lose as much money with a hybrid, which is fantastic. But I also think in this market, if you think about how many people live in an apartment where actually an EV isn't even an option, the hybrid's the perfect next step.
Yes,
right?
exactly.
Is you get the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
And it, hindsight's a wonderful thing, but it just feels like that was the logical step, right? Rather than taking consumers directly to EVs, there was a logical step. And I'll never forget the Japanese manufacturers, especially Toyota, who didn't jump on the EV bandwagon, who stuck to their guns, who said, actually, we think there's a middle ground here.
Yeah.
Have done very well out of it because, as you say, they are dominating the hybrid market. They're just, and I think of the American models we've got, only 20 or something are hybrid. It's just, there's nothing coming from America really on the hybrid side.
No, and I think some of the other Japanese manufacturers are going to start following Toyota's lead with more hybrid models in their lineup. But even, the new Mercedes-Benz CLA, which was launched last month, they only launched 2 variants, a hybrid and a full electric.
Right.
I think, that's the future.
Yes.
There's hybrid for the people who still like the combustion engine, but there's the full electric for that side of the market too.
Yeah.
And you see that with BYD as well.
Yes. Yeah. BYD are launching a brand new SUV into the market next year. Hybrid technology. It's absolutely flying in China. I'm sure it'll do very well here, but I think that's, the guys here selling Japanese SUVs need to watch out because, there's some great product coming in from China, some great hybrid product coming in from China.
Yeah.
At very good price points. So I'm sure we're not the only people to have spotted the hybrid opportunity.
No.
And I think it will scale quite quickly through the Chinese and the Korean product. I think that again, the Koreans are really jumping on this now with their new cars, pushing hybrid technology. So what's the advice then to car dealers? Buy more hybrids.
I think that's top line. Most hybrids, I think it's still got to be a in-demand car. But if you look at the Toyota or the Lexus lineup, most of the full range of those vehicles are well sought after cars. But I think having the hybrid versions of those cars in your stock can certainly generate more gross profit. Easier sales, faster sales, more profit. It's always easier to sell an in-demand car than an average demand car. So I think having more hybrid vehicles is going to give you the edge in the market, and also staying abreast of the trend, seeing what's happening with new models entering the market, seeing how that's impacting residual values, and really giving consumers what they want. If you can get ahead of the trend, have more hybrids in your stock mix, you're probably going to make more money.
Yeah, 100%. Actually, we again looked at the data. Hybrids are the fastest selling cars on our site as well. So,
Really?
Yeah. So supply outstrips demand. fastest selling car, best for holding residual value. I think you're right. Dealers need to get the data, though, to make sure they're buying the right. It's not just buy any old hybrid.
Yeah.
There are certain hybrids that you'll do very well out of. And I think get hold of that data and make sure you're buying the right ones at the right price.
And as we've discussed, stock turn is the key to profitability for used car dealers. So having cars, even if you make the same amount of money from the petrol car, if it sells twice as fast, you're twice as better off.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. Excellent. I think that's some great advice.
Excellent. I'm going to go search for some hybrids.
Yeah. Well, I don't drive a hybrid. Do you drive a hybrid?
I don't drive a hybrid yet, but I'm going to go have a look at DubiCars and see what I can find.
Great place. All right. Thanks, Glenn.
Thanks, Craig.
See you later.
Bye.
Cheers. Bye-bye.